हाँ, विजिबल है। शेयर करो आप मेरे उस पर। ओके। नमस्कार, आई एम प्रोफेसर Ramesh C. Gaur, Dean and Director Agency. Pleased to welcome you on Facebook Live. Under this lecture series organized by Panas NGO, I'm going to talk about a topic digital preservation of and access to Indian cultural heritage. Uh, Let me first thank Panash for inviting me to share my views on this very important topic. And also I thanks all of you who have joined Facebook Live. The topic which I'm going to talk, before that let me give you some more background how I am associated with this topic. Currently as a Dean and Head of Kalanidhi Division, I look after one of the largest cultural heritage collection, not just in India but maybe in Asia. We have large collection of manuscripts, visual archives, library material, cultural archives. And my initial tenure from 2004 to 11 and now from 18 to 20, I have been engaged in various digitization, digital preservation programs. And I'm also very much connected with various other national and international institutions dealing with the preservation of cultural heritage. I'm also engaged in many international projects as a member of International Advisory Committee of UNESCO Memory of the World program, which I represent Asia region, and also as a member of expert committee on this IFLA program advisory committee on cultural heritage. Besides that, I have been associated with many international projects like setting up of International Center on Cultural Heritage in South Korea. Then a project digitization of digital Dunhuang, a project which was of very international importance. So with this kind of association with national and international institutions last over almost 2 decades, I have been engaged with various activities, programs of preservation of cultural heritage. My international exposure to various countries and national libraries of the world, all other important archives and museums have given me an opportunity to look around and see how the cultural heritage is being looked after. My interaction or my computer background also helped me in understanding the new technologies and use of the new technologies in preservation, digital preservation of cultural heritage. So with this background, I'm going to share some of my views, like how in India we have been doing this digital preservation of cultural heritage. What are the challenges? What are the issues? What is the current status? And particularly in this pandemic situation, how we have dealt with this issue of digital preservation or access to cultural heritage. So let me see that first we need to assess that are our Indian cultural institutions really prepared to engage our users in such situation? Like what is the preparedness in terms of dealing with this situation, a unforeseen circumstances, a unprepared or unplanned situation where museums are closed, archives are closed, libraries are closed, and users are have only digital option to get the access to the information. So how we are prepared in this situation to deal with this scenario? So let me assess the situation from different segments. So let's begin with museums. We have thousands of museums in this country, but how many of these museums have digitized their material? How many of them have converted their collection in form of virtual museum using various kind of immersive technologies? Answer is not even single one. When we talk about archives, starting from National Archives of India to state archives to business archive. Recently I did a survey and I estimated near about 550 archives of different nature. And when I did a survey of these archives under this mapping of archives project, I'm not able to come across many successful examples where technology has been used or technology has been utilized. So when our researchers who are not able to physically visit these archives, how to get the data, how to get archival material for the research, how to get the different kind of resources, what they need, that's a big question mark. Public libraries, including National Library of India, many of these libraries, even catalog is not available online. Forgot our digital repository. Somehow, some subscribed resources, even these subscribed resources are also not available remotely using various kind of remote access technologies. So our libraries also neither having that facilities or nor they are prepared to provide even a basic information regarding various material. Forget about digitization and digital library access. Our monuments. In IGNCA we have thousands of visuals of monuments. But these all visuals are not available online. In many places, even Archaeological Survey of India will be having huge. So have we thought of developing walkthroughs or different kind of virtualization of monuments so people can enjoy, even it may be corona or may not be this kind of situation. Even otherwise, we need to have a proper dissemination of information to make it more attractive by virtualizing or creating various kind of walkthrough and interesting posters about these monuments. But that is also not taking place. We have number of National Digital Initiative, starting from Digital Library of India, started by uh, Indian Institute of Science, this National Virtual Library of India, our own Ministry of Culture, IIT Bombay was given responsibility. Ministry of IT asked to set up a Center for Excellence in Digital Preservation Program. Now, National Digital Library of India has been initiated by IIT Kharagpur. But all these initiatives, none of them is having any digital program, any digital preservation program. We are totally away from. Sometimes I really worried, do we really understand what is the meaning of digital preservation? What is the meaning of digital archiving? Do our people understand it? Do our administrators understand? Do our librarians understand it? Do our various people working in museums and archives really understand what is the meaning of digital preservation? So when Panas talked to me that on which topic you would like to speak, I thought this is the topic which I feel there is a lot of awareness is required. When we are talking to access to cultural heritage, I just mentioned that definitely it is very difficult to get access to various kind of cultural heritage online because we have done some digitization, but this digitization has not converted into form of digital archive, or we are not able to create digital library. So access to these resources is not fully available online, and particularly in a situation like this, Corona, it is very difficult to uh, have data from these museums, libraries, and archives. Frankly speaking, cultural heritage belongs to humanities. These cultural heritage is not my or yours or one country or other country. This entire cultural heritage belongs to the entire world humanity. How to reach out, how to provide them free and open access, that is the question. And this all kind of data which is scattered in different segments. If you see this slide, you will know what are these segments. All these data is very important and very valuable for all the researcher, all kind of people. So now let's move to the topic when we talk about digital preservation and access. What is the modern concept of preservation? Every material, museum object, archival material or library material, it is made up of certain media, and every material has certain life. We cannot extend the life beyond certain period. Conservation can help in extending the life little bit but not forever. So for the preservation, for the long-term preservation, we need to make copies of that in digital form. So digitization is very, very important because it helps in long-term digital preservation. Definitely microfilming, analog preservation is also a very good media, but digitization has certain better advantage over microfilming. Microfilming is good for storage, but for access, digitization is most important. How to digitize, that will come later. But what is the important thing? Digitization help in increasing the access. It help in providing multiple services. It also reduce in handling the original object. It also help in various kind of collaborative and exhibitions and various kind of other multiple projects. And digital preservation is a process of preserving both digitized and non-digital contents to a distant future in reusable condition for access by its user. It involves a set of systematic guidelines, processes, strategies, technologies, and approaches. So, digital preservation is not just a tool, just a software, or just a plan, or just a technology, or just a kind of guidelines. It is a combination of this entire process. And why it is required? Because of technological obsolescence, because of shorter and uncertain life of current storage media. You never know when your server can crash, when a hard disk can crash, corrupted, or your your drives can go. And moreover, information flood and international internet revolution are some of the major factors which have made preservation of digital information more complex and challenging. So, before digital preservation, you need to understand what is digitization. Basically, lot of digital cultural heritage is in form of different audio, video, print, sculpture, or various kind of material, archival material, museum objects, or library material. Now, converting these into form of a digital object or digital form is called digitalization. So, I will not go more into the uh, digitization process. I will just, before that, I want to highlight how Indian cultural heritage is being organized in India. Ministry of Culture, which I represent, is the largest repository or stakeholder in terms of cultural heritage. And in cultural heritage, the the different kind of classification has been done. It has been divided into three major components. Knowledge organizations like libraries and archives, all purchases print or non-print material comes under knowledge organizations. Uh, those who are responsible for preservation of tangible cultural heritage is are in this category of Archaeological Survey of India, National Museum, all museums, and different kind of other related institution, National Mission for Management, etc. So that comes under tangible cultural heritage. Then India possesses a large amount of intangible cultural heritage, folklore, folk music, folk art, various kind of traditional healing practices. Those who are within the people, those are not available in a form of document or in form of a particular paper or digital. So these are with the various people, with various tribal communities, with various indigenous people. So with various people who are carry forwarding this particular form of cultural heritage, intangible cultural heritage from one generation to another generation by oral means. So these are the institutions who deal with this kind of. And the largest amount of resources or heritage we have in form of manuscript. India possesses over almost 10 million manuscripts. And these manuscripts are scattered in museums and libraries under Ministry of Culture, National Archives, State Archives, state libraries, and state museums. In various universities, we have many manuscript libraries. In all these places, and there are temple, mutts, all these places, these manuscripts are being stored. Now, to access these collections or to preserve these collections or to protect these collections, there are certain kind of legislation and mandates. But all these legislations and mandates need to be reviewed because all these are very old. Books and Delivery Act has not been revised after 1954. The world has changed. We are totally The libraries have totally changed. Publishing system has totally changed. But still we are following the guidelines which were prepared in 1954. So there is first thing which I want to begin with is in terms of policy, we need to have a review of our current processes, and the first thing should come legislations. We should think of a legal deposit where digital deposit should be the mandatory thing, and we should think of creating a proper digital archive of these things. Now, why we need to create digital archive, which is very important, because the way we are going into digital age, our uh, our focus is totally shifting from physical access to digital access. It may be born digital material or it may be digitized material. We just want to access first in anywhere, anytime. Second, they want in a manner which attract them, which help them. They want certain value addition in these collections. They don't want just a manuscript, palm leaf manuscript totally broken and have been damaged and lying dust and all those things. They want to access the digital copy of that particular palm leaf manuscript, which is improvised by image enhancement, by cleaning the image and by converting that image in a form of a easily retrievable digital document in a PDF file or in a EPUB or something like that. So at the same time, now we are living in a hybrid world. Definitely, I don't say that everything is going to be paperless. There is a scope for hybrid world. Something will be in digital, but major focus will be on digital only. In this process of digitization, I need not to explain you more. You can easily understand it. This is something which a process scan the image and do certain kind of proofreading, cropping the image, cleaning the image, converting into OCR and converting into accessible format and uploading on a server using different kind of software like DSpace or Greenstone or any kind of software, and then doing certain kind of creating metadata which help in, see, we are in an age where discovery to metadata, quality metadata is very important. We don't want to waste the time of the users. So all in this entire process, we need to also understand the challenges. It is not a choice. Digital preservation is not a choice. It is a compulsion. And why it is a compulsion? Because of various factors. The first thing is technology obsolescence. Second is that the paper life or any material which is audio, video, it has certain life. You cannot extend beyond certain period. So you have to convert into digital and you have to preserve in a digital form. And for all this process, we need softwares. We need digital archiving software. We also need various kind of storage system. We need cloud space or high speed or high bandwidth, high storage servers. So we need technology, we need trained people. So there are a lot of challenges with us. And we also need to concern about the copyright and authenticity, and like when you digitize something, how to make sure that this is the original image. So we have to find out various kind of security, authenticity, and dealing with all these fake issues and other things. So there are a lot of challenges, and without a proper policy, a plan, we cannot achieve. Why we are lacking in this country? Because we never have a plan. We created National Mission for Manuscript, but we never thought of having a collaboration, various kind of stakeholders. the librarians, the technology people, the scholars, and the conservators. We never able to have a proper plan that after data creation we will digitally archive it. We should have certain kind of good digital archiving system in place. We should have a good digital preservation system in place. So that plan is, it may be National Virtual Library of India, it may be National Digital Library of India. All these initiatives are either individual driven or based on certain kind of top to the bottom approach. In this system, we forgot to make a structured plan. What should be the mission? What should be the vision? What are the digital preservation plan? What are the digital preservation approaches? What are the various kind of standardization, metadata creation, software what we need, and then also access, digital rights management. See all these things. So I don't have an hesitation. Please excuse me. I really sorry to say that in this country we not having a single digital archiving policy and plan prepared by any institutions, in not just in cultural heritage but also in any field. We never have a plan. Although we consider ourselves IT superpower, but we lack the really IT superpower kind of thing. So when we talk about digitization of cultural heritage, before digital preservation, most important thing is how to digitize. You can do it in-house, you can outsource it, you can take help of outside project, you can also take help with various collaborators like in IGNC, National Mission for Manuscript is helping in digitizing many manuscript library. Initially, Kalanidhi from 1987 till 2009 has helped 52 libraries in microfilming and digitization of their manuscript. So there are various ways of doing it, but and you can digitize any kind of material. Now technology is available to convert any form of material, including museum object or using 3D or immersive technologies. You can create various kind of attractive virtual images of any material. So there is no issue. Technology is available for each and every material to digitize. But before, the first thing in the plan is why you need to digitize. I'm making a statement. Everything need not to be digitized. And whatever important thing must be digitized. Because digitization is the first step in digital archiving. If you don't have digital copy, you cannot digitally archive it. So digitization ultimately help in access. It help in sharing. A physical copy only one person can use it, but a digital copy multiple people can use it, right? So it improves the services. Like you, from a museum object, you can convert various kind of digital exhibitions or various kind of virtual exhibitions. Give an example, like we organized an exhibition on Rabindranath Tagore, and with the help of technology, we have created a video of that particular thing. We have created a virtual exhibition of that. So it is, and you can improve the services. The quality of services, its transportability, its portability, everything can be increased. So archiving of digital content is also very easy using these technologies. Now, one thing which I want to talk to you is, like when we talk about archiving, archiving and preservation are two different things. Should not consider one and same. Archiving means we are uploading in a system for both access and archiving. Preservation means that we are having a preservation plan and we are preserving it for the posterity. So without digitization that cannot be done. To protect the originality of the object, it is also very important because you cannot just keep anything safe for a longer duration or duration which is beyond certain time period. That's why I'm saying digitization is the first step in this process of, because you cannot in the digital preservation. Now, for digitization, one important thing is copyright issues. You cannot digitize everything because you are not having copyright. So you have to understand the copyright issues with the help of Indian Copyright Act Amendment 2012. And another thing is that in case of cultural heritage, unfortunately, I'm struggling last many years. I'm not able to come across anywhere in the world various copyright laws dealing with traditional knowledge systems, traditional knowledge. It may be manuscript, it may be. Generally, these materials are away from copyright. But in this, our own country, there is a lot of complexity has been made. You go to any libraries of the world, most of the libraries have put all the manuscripts online, except certain countries. Most of the places, all the manuscripts are freely accessible in digital format. But despite of we have digitized over more than 5 to 6 lakhs manuscripts, we are not able to put it online because of various kind of uh, complexity of ownership or agreement signed with those libraries and their ego classes and all those things. So I think somewhere down the line, we also need a government directive or some kind of policy on Indian traditional knowledge system. If we can't revise our Copyright Act, we should have a separate provisions or mandate or policy for all these cultural heritage material. Apart from Copyright Act, we also need to look into the provisions of Information Technology Act. That is also very important for you to look after, uh, because without these important guidelines provided by that, sometimes you may be problem. So there are certain issues dealing with the digital preservation. So all these issues, when you are copying or preserving or refreshing or migrating, you should look into that. So there are experts available who can guide you various kind of, like, give you an example. Recently, during the lockdown, there was free circulation of PDF files to various WhatsApp group, and suddenly there is a news item appears that it is not legal to circulate these copies to the various WhatsApp group. So there are different opinions in that, and the ultimate thing was that those who are providing free access, their copies can be circulated, but those are having subscription based may not be circulated. So there are different kind of opinions. So legal issues are very important in digital preservation. There are a number of barriers to this access to cultural heritage in this country. What are the key issues in access to cultural heritage? First thing is that we should collect all the material lying various places, and we should organize this material for long-term preservation. We should properly select which is to be digitized, how, for what duration, and we should also do the validate the content. We should make it accessible to all users irrespective of any kind of technology they use, including persons with visual impairment. We should develop the system which are centrally focused. We should make interoperable system. So there should not be problem of uploading one data to another data, and definitely copyright ownership or the important thing. There are a number of barriers. Technology is a barrier. We don't have basic infrastructures. This is visible from my survey that most of the archives are lacking basic infrastructure. Different is totally lacking. Our all IT institution, it may be NIC or CDAC, they are good for basic jobs, basic facilities. But when things comes for a complex situation or complex plan like digital preservation, so far they have failed. So they are failed in developing language, various kind of language tools for our ancient scripts and languages. They failed in having a proper digital preservation program. We are sometimes not very well aware of international metadata standards. Definitely we don't have a good digital archiving software. DSpace is good, but DSpace is not the perfect solution for you. DSpace is not something which is helpful to everybody. Economic barriers are there, and these economic barriers are very sometimes problematic, because when you don't have money to digitize something, when you don't have money to scan something, how will you take care of that? This is the very important barrier which we have to look into. Language is a barrier. There are many materials which are in different languages. Now we cannot understand those languages. Take example. When we talk about ancient script, these manuscripts are in different scripts. Modi, Tiglari, Pali, Prakriti. If I don't understand that, how can I read those? So it is a barrier, and technology is definitely a barrier. So now let's come to next 10 minutes. I will devote on this. What is digital preservation? So all principle of preservation also apply to digital preservation. Means longevity, enhancing the life, is selection. Only selected material can be done. Quality enhancement, and integrating all commodity together to make it a good object. And access, digital access, because in both the cases access is the purpose of preservation. What is not digital preservation? Digitization is not digital preservation. Copying is not digital preservation. Born digital collection is not digital preservation. Website creation is not digital preservation. Online resources provided by commercial publisher is not digital preservation. Various kind of institutional repository and other things created by you is not digital preservation. Library automation is not digital preservation. E-commerce site, Amazon and all those things, it is not a digital preservation. It may be some depending upon the objective, on the complexity and use. This e-learning, e-publishing, e-mirroring, backup, digital archaeology. Microfilm is an analog form of digital preservation. So I have defined it that safeguarding and maintaining a collection for long term into a foreseeable and distant future. Sustainability is very important. And the main goal of digital preservation is to keep digital information in readable and usable condition. Why it is required? Preservation links the past with future. Knowledge is one of the few things that lasts. Libraries and archives and museums are the carrier of the information from one generation to another generation. Significant parts of world knowledge is heritage in digital form now. We need to preserve the memory of the world. That's why this UNESCO has clearly given the charter. I am the member of this UNESCO advisory committee, and these charters clearly help in understanding this preservation. Who are the stakeholders? Archivists, librarians, record managers, conservators, and various kind of software hardware developers, publishers, producers, various kind of managers of different. All these are stakeholders of the various kind of digital preservation program. And why it is so important? Because we are living in the age of uncertainty. See the clay tablet. The life estimate was 10,000 years. Now the DVD which are already out from the market or hard disk, you are not sure this hard disk can crash today or may survive for 5 years. It depends upon the kind of situation. There are a number of other threats: media failure, hardware failure, cyber failure, communication errors, failure of network services, media and hardware, then natural disaster, earthquake, and disaster like COVID-19, external attack, internal attack, economic failure. So all these threats forced us to think of having a proper digital preservation program. And these digital objects need to be preserved in a very specific environment. We need to have proper software. We need to have a proper system in place to digitally preserve it. There are a number of other reasons why we need it. Like tapes of US census data from 1960 are now inaccessible. Location of NASA's original moon landing recording is currently unknown. Finding for the long-standing UK Arts and Humanity Data Service discontinued in April 2018. And most importantly, the when ownership of other rights become uncertain, availability is threatened. Like manuscripts, there is no author for that, and nobody knows like it belongs to whom, who is the copyright holder, to who will preserve them. So knowledge is our responsibility to preserve it. So there are different kind of approaches and purpose of digital preservation. This backup, digital preservation, digital archiving, they have different purposes, different risk management, different storage architecture, different access security, indexing, retention. So all three do the same work. They do the backup. In normal language, they all back up the system. But this backup is not just for one purpose. There are different purposes. There are different kind of risk management. There are short-term, long-term, medium-term goals. There are different kind of level of access. There are different kind of security concern. There are different kind of indexing system. There are different kind of retention policies. And what are the various kind of approaches? These are the refreshing, migration, emulation, creation of interoperable archives, persistent digital identifier, replication, mirroring, preservation metadata. Digital preservation approaches. It includes digital archaeology also. It includes hardware museum, microfilm, and various kind of other digital preservation. What is this refreshing? You do every day. Whenever there is you need to refresh your internet browser or various kind of things. Similarly, you need to refresh your contents. So refreshing is basically copy from one long-term storage media to another. Because even when you preserve something, every storage media have certain kind of timeline. How long you can keep in a CD, how long you can keep a tape drive. Once you, like, give an example, I went to US in 2003, I copied the data in a hard disk and forgot about it. And now during this lockdown, when I was writing my memoirs, I unable to retrieve that data. The entire photographs of my visit of 2003 in this hard disk. Hard disk is good, hard disk is readable, but the contents in the hard disk have gone. I should have refreshed it. That was my mistake. Migration. When you migrate from one version to the higher version, from Windows 1 to Windows 2, from 2019 to 2020, whenever you migrate from software or hardware, you also need to migrate your data. That way you can keep the data in reusable condition. Emulation. There are certain different kind of softwares. You can develop certain kind of softwares which can help in preservation. It is expensive system because these softwares will work only for that particular object or that particular solution. So it is little complicated. Technology preservation, like computer museum, you preserve the entire technology, including operating system, original application software, media drives, everything you preserve in form of a computer museum. But this is also risky because sometimes this museum object can also damage. Replication is the best and the most used digital preservation approach. Lots of copies keep mirrors objects safe. You must have heard of this LOX project. By using cache technology, this data is being stored in multiple servers. So at a point of time, if one server has some problem, after some time, other server will replicate the copies to that server without any issue. So you don't have a chance of losing data because data is lying on multiple locations. So this mirroring of data and replication help in long-term digital preservation. Digital archaeology. This is very common, like forensic science, when somebody deletes some object and some proofs are to be retrieved. They take help of the expert in this digital archaeology. There are a number of softwares available to retrieve the damaged data, to retrieve the deleted data, retrieve the hard disk crash data. So digital archaeology is another form of digital preservation. Encapsulation is a technique where a certain kind of material is grouped together with metadata. Analog backups like microfilm is the best analog backup. My suggestion to you, my experience of 30 years say, for digital preservation, for cultural heritage, we need to have both the options. We need to keep both microfilm as well as digital contents. Microfilm are very easy to duplicate, very easy to maintain, and very less storage required for keeping microfilm. So my suggestion to all the digital heritage experts or all those people who are archiving digital material, cultural heritage material, you should keep your data in both the forms, microfilm as well as digital. You need to have certain kind of standards. You need to update. In this regard, NISO has come out with some kind of archival standard, like PDFA has been developed, which is independent of any operating system. So these standards are very important. Digital preservation metadata. One is the metadata of the contents. You also need to create metadata for the digital preservation resources. It will describe it, but suppose you have copied contents in a tape drive. You have to create metadata of that tape drive. Similarly, metadata of CD, metadata of a particular any kind of storage system. So digital preservation of metadata is also very important, and there are different kind of issues concerned with that. It has administrative or technical metadata, which include date of capture, scanning resolution, initial capture setting, version of digital object, file format, compression technology used, object relationship, etc. It also have a technical data which is dealing with the lifetime, how like a when you need to refresh or migrate from one to the new one. So all these technical, administrative and metadata are very important. And for that there are different kind of standards developed by the experts. Important one is OSRM, Open Archival Information Reference Model, previous developed by OCLC, and then you can use the person-set identifier, XML and schema also. These are the details of preservation planning. OS model. Uh, this is something very frequently used in various digital preservation systems. We need to have a proper digital preservation policy and strategies. All these topics should be covered in the digital preservation policy. We also need to have proper storage and care of and handling of the material, not just contents but also the digital preservation material. And because many times we don't know like how to keep what kind of control, temperature control, or what kind of uh, temperature we should maintain in particular room to keep these material. In Indian libraries or in archives, we have a system like most of the places there is a 9 to 5 AC and after that AC is switched off. And in city like Delhi, when temperature is fluctuating up to 48-degree temperature, that is very dangerous. Like at 5:30 p.m. there is a temperature is 25 degree, and suddenly in the midnight it goes up to 48. So it's a variation of temperature variation of 23 degree centigrade. It damages your material more than that. So better to keep collection all time in the proper environmental condition. Humidity is also very big factor, particularly during rainy season, winter, fall. There is a lot of issues concerning the this. There are a number of digital preservation commercial software available. You can also take help from the various companies available. This Preservica is very frequently used digital preservation software by various institutions, both in cultural heritage and other organizations. There are a number of initiatives, like Library of Congress is having a huge digital preservation program. I say this is the one of the largest and the world's most active library in the world, which is having digital preservation program for various issues, and they are doing everything in a very systematic manner. So anybody want to look for an example, like suppose we want to look for example digital preservation of Indian cultural heritage, we have example in form of Library of Congress. Europe has a policy on digital cultural heritage. They're very concerned about, and many European projects I will let you know in the beginning. Like this is the digital preservation program of Library of Congress, and this is a digital preservation program of National Library of Australia. In form of it is called Preserving Access to Digital Information. This is a DPC collaboration. It's a European project. This is also a software IBM provides, and the number of digital preservation projects are partner in this digital information archiving system. Planet is the another project. We have British Library, Netherlands Library, Australian National Library. All these libraries are partner in that. Nestor in Germany, when I visited Germany in 2005, that time this project was started. It is basically to uh, preserve various kind of resources, and it's a collaborative project of multiple organizations. Uh, Topal is the another project which was undertaken in Germany. That is also very important project. Uh, this European community reuse is another project, which is many European countries are partnered in that. What when we like I want to I'm coming close to the end of my presentation. I'm not going to criticize it. We have a very good initiative in form of National Digital Library of India, but it is not a digital preservation program. It is just it's a kind of search system which harvests the data and provide access to various resources. Plus, they are also adding a large number of. It is very appreciable and very good project, much needed project, and they doing great work. I'm admirer of this work done by this. But what is the situation elsewhere? We have started with a lot of expectation this project, National Virtual Library of India. Despite of large amount of money spent, large amount of time spent, we still do not have any digital archiving software. Similarly, when before going to JNU, I collaborated with CDEC for a digital archiving system. We didn't get any digital repository software. Wish if we have a software, digital archiving software, we could have saved, or we could have created a digital library of our 3 lakh manuscript, 1 lakh visuals, 4,000 rare books, and there are a lot of lakhs of photographs and paintings and other digitized material. But somewhere we are not able to come across any. I think this is the time, and somewhere I blame librarians, archivists, and museum experts also. We always look for government. We never do anything from our own. We never come forward. We never form a kind of group and talk to the people and ask them why we are in this state, why we don't have a good digital preservation system, why we do our cultural heritage is not accessible. We need to find out answers to these questions because we have been given responsibility of preservation of cultural heritage, Indian cultural heritage. So librarians, archivists or museum experts working in cultural ministries or in various other institutions should look into it. My purpose of talking on this topic was to create an awareness that we are very lagging behind in terms of digital archiving, digital preservation of Indian cultural heritage. Our cultural heritage is dying day by day. We are not realizing how much we are losing. We have already lost a lot. But this is the high time we should not allow more damage to our cultural heritage. We need to request our authorities. We need to talk to our various administrators in various positions that we need proper policy. We need a good collaborative. And I want to tell you, this is not a cup of one organization or two organizations. We need a collaborative efforts where ministry is involved. Even public-private partnership is very much needed in this process. Without having a public-private partnership, I don't think we can achieve these objectives. I will close the presentation. I will come online. These are my email ID, which you can make use of it and can contact me for any further information and clarification, because in Facebook Live there is no interaction.